The world is a pretty big place. It is around 24,900 miles around. In the area, there are forests, deserts, lakes, oceans, tundras, cities, and much more. There are also around 8 billion people on this planet. Some of these people are good, while others are bad. But somewhere in those 8 billion are the lost ones. The ones who went missing and were never seen again. This might be for many reasons, such as abduction, running away, getting lost, accidents, and more. Days, months, and years pass, and they might never be found. Sometimes they will eventually be, and the case can be closed. Other times, however, they aren't. It's hard on families and friends as they have to wonder every day what happened to them, not truly knowing if they are alive or dead. At least for people who are found early as possible, there can be a proper funeral. This isn't the case for anyone who is missing. This video will be different from the others I have made so far, as rather than focus on an individual, I will be going after 5 people who disappeared. 5 people who went missing and were never seen again. They are from various places and even time in history, but their fates remain unknown. Without further ado, these are 5 people who disappeared mysteriously. But before I begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure that notifications are on as well. Aisha Degree was a 9-year-old girl who went missing from her hometown of Shelby, North Carolina on February 14, 2000. She lived with her parents Harold and Aquila, and older brother O'Brien. Most of her life revolved around family, school, and church. She hated things like dogs in the dark. She was on her school's basketball team though, which she enjoyed. She also attended Boston Elementary as a 4th grader. Aisha didn't have a glamorous life, but she did have a happy one. On February 14th, 2000, Aquila woke up early to draw the kids a bath before school. She woke up O'Brien to get him ready by drawing their bath. Normally it would have happened the night before, but a power outage prevented that. However, there was no sign of Aisha. The parents looked around the house, but couldn't find her. Eventually they called 911 and reported her as missing. There was no sign of a break-in into the house. After some investigating, the police got some answers. People reported seeing Aisha walk outside on Highway 18 around 4 a.m. One motorist tried to drive back to talk to her, but she ran into the woods. Some of her belongings were found in the shed, including a bow, candy, wrappers, and a picture of a girl. No one knew who the girl was, and she remained unidentified. About a year later, her book bag was found in the woods. It had a New Kids on the Block shirt and a Dr. Seuss McElligot's Pool from the school library. Her parents said she never had that shirt though. It's unknown if the school ever told the police that the book was missing, or if school library records were checked. For years there were little details, but the 2010s investigators believe she might have gotten into a green car. More recently, a family who lives in an area have been questioned as police think they might know something or are directly involved, though the family claims they are innocent. Aisha's family even hopes today she is alive and will come home. However, police believe she was killed. Still, it's unknown what happened to her. Aisha was scared of the dark, but she went on a dark road. She was scared of dogs, and that shed she was in sometimes had dogs in it. Theories range from running away, to a hit and run, to even being groomed. This is the most haunting thing of Aisha. Why did she choose to leave her house? that night? We might never know. Aisha would be 36 today. Jim Gray was a beloved computer scientist who disappeared on January 28, 2007, in the San Francisco Bay, when heading to the Farallon Islands to spread his mother's ashes. He set sail on his 40-foot yacht called Tenacious that fateful Sunday and was never seen again. He was born on July 12, 1944, to James and Anne Gray. He spent his toddler years in Italy and learned Italian. During his college years, he married a woman named Loretta. The two traveled together, he graduated with a PhD in programming languages, and they had a daughter. They would later divorce, and he married to a woman named Donna. Gray was a smart man, and even helped shape the way many of us live today. He was a researcher at Microsoft since 1995 and helped with many modern things, such as ATM machines. He changed the world of database software, and we wouldn't be where we are today without him. That's what makes his disappearance strange. His boat was equipped with an emergency position and ticketing radio beacon. This meant if his boat sank, it would send out a distress signal for help. However, no such signal was ever sent. One might think the weather was bad. Maybe a storm made his boat sink and messed with the signal. But the weather was clear that day. He was reported missing by his wife Donna when he failed to come home. She and the family spent months looking for him, but to no avail. Helicopters searched the area, but found nothing. In 2012, 5 years after he disappeared, he was legally declared dead. Jim was smart and successful, so one would wonder how he would die at sea like that. Some theories go from starting a new life to kidnapping. Others say he might have taken his own life as his mother's death hurt him so much. He might have turned everything in the boat off and sank it on purpose. But he was successful, even winning awards. He wanted to do more for the world and never got a chance. Gray's fate shows that even brilliant men can disappear too. Solomon Northup was an American man whose life was depicted in a memoir he wrote, 12 Years a Slave, which was later adapted in a film. Even though he was born free, being the son of a free mother and father who got his freedom, he would eventually be kidnapped and sold into slavery while he was in Washington, D.C., after being tricked. He was sold and given the name Platt by a trader. He spent time with a few owners. His first owner was William Ford. Ford was kind to him, even giving him a violin, but later had to sell him due to being in debt. He went to a man named Edmund Eapes, who abused his slaves. Eapes beat and raped a slave woman named Patsy, and almost whipped her to death, forcing Northup to join him. He spent the next 12 years in Louisiana as a slave until 1853, when the state of New York was able to help him regain his freedom. A man named Samuel Bass was a big help, as he was the one who got in contact with many people to help, such as the governor and a local sheriff Northup knew in New York. He did this knowing many slave owners might harass, imprison, or even kill him, but he helped him get his freedom back. He was skilled with his hands, using it for many jobs, as well as the violin. Before being kidnapped, he had a wife and 2 children living in New York. After winning his freedom, he would return to his family and go on to write 12 Years a Slave, which became a bestseller, but also stirred controversy. Northup was lucky, as most slaves who went to court for their freedom mostly lost. The most well-known is probably Dred Scott, a man from Missouri, where his owners took him to Illinois to where it was illegal. He lost, and it's seen as one of the worst Supreme Court rulings ever. What happened to Northup after 1857 is unknown. He did become an abolitionist in his later years and spent some time in Canada. Some theories state he might have gone back into slavery, but that's unlikely due to his age. Others think he might have died during the Civil War from natural causes. Whatever the case, it's sad to see a man who won his freedom stats remain unknown. Constance Smith was born on July 11, 1942, to Peter and Helen Smith. Her father was the son of Nels H. Smith, who was governor of Wyoming from 1939 to 1943. Her grandparents also owned a ranch in Wyoming called Ranch A, which still exists today. Her parents were divorced in 1949, and her father would marry another woman in 1950 and have 2 daughters with his new wife. In 1952, Helen and Connie visited Helen's parents for the summer. Since Connie had no friends to play with, Helen enrolled her at Camp Salone. It was part of the YMCA and opened in 1958, and it is too still open today. It is located right near the Berkshire Mountains. On July 11, 1952, Connie had been at camp for a couple weeks when her family visited her for her 10th birthday. Little did they know, they would never see her again. Connie did not have a good time at camp after her birthday. Her glasses broke, so she couldn't see well. She injured her hip, and she got in a fight with some other girls at camp. It resulted in a bloody nose for her. On July 16th, Connie told her friend she was going to take an ice pack she used for her hip back to the dispensary. This never happened, as she never went there, and the ice pack was found in the tent. What Connie really did was leave camp and walked up Indian Mountain Road. After she left camp, several people reported seeing her, including a camp caretaker and nearby residents, who said she asked for directions to Lakeville. Police and people who worked for the camp searched for her, but couldn't find her. Connie's father even got in a plane to help, but couldn't find anything. He thinks she was trying to go home to Wyoming. Various sightings after her disappearance were made in the upcoming weeks. One big one was that she was with some gypsies from Colorado. But when police visited the site they were gone. In 1958, some skeletal remains named Little Miss X were found in Arizona that some believed were her. While her dentist wasn't able to confirm if the dental records matched, Connie's brother, Nels J. Smith, believed it might have been her as there were similarities. Her parents did everything they could to find her, but never did. Helen died in 1963 from a heart attack, and Peter in 2012 at the ripe old age of 97. Her brother also helped, but he died in 2023. The body of Little Miss X were buried in an unmarked location in Citizens Cemetery. Her brother hoped one day to find it, and with better DNA technology, compare it to Connie's. In 2018, some remains were tested, but were negative, and they may not have been Little Miss X. The big question is, why did Connie leave camp and try to go to Lakeville? If she were homesick, she could have called for Mom, surely. If she were alive, she would be in her 80s now. Hopefully, investigators can find a Little Miss X body one day and confirm it is Connie, to give family closure and let Connie rest. Susan Walsh was a freelance journalist who disappeared on July 16, 1996. From a young age, she wanted to be a writer, though in her youth she wanted to be more of a poet than a journalist. While working up to her degree in college, she made money as a stripper to pay off her classes. She also turned to drugs and alcohol around this time. After graduating, she worked as a writer for business, engineering, and Screw magazine, which was a porn magazine. She married a man named Mark Walsh, who is a brother of Eagle member Joe Walsh. They had a son named David together. By the time David was born, she was drug-free and gave up drinking. She later got a job at the Village Voice. They encouraged her to write stories on the sex industry. She wrote a popular story on Russian mobsters who were rumored to have forced immigrant women to work as sex slaves. Her story got good reviews from people, but it also brought some threats to her. She would also write about New York's vampires community and took an interest in it even dating a man. They wore outrageous clothes and even drank real blood. But the vampire story wasn't published, and she went back to dancing. She would tell people how it and drinking were taking a toll on her life. On July 16th, she left David at her ex's place as she ran errands and made a call on a payphone. She was in a hurry that day and didn't say where she was going. It was the last time anyone saw her. By the second day she didn't return, Mark reported her as missing. Since then, there have been a few theories. One is that she got addicted to drugs again. She might have OD'd and died in the presence of another drug user. Scared they would have been blamed, they got rid of her. Another is that she started a new life. A friend of hers, Melissa, says she saw her in a car one night. The person she was with was found and said that they do think it was her, but doesn't know what happened to her after that night. It's also said she might be in hiding to protect herself and her family. She supposedly had information on the Russian mobs that would send them to jail. Melissa says she thinks Susan was being followed, and even said she might be dead in a year. Because of this, some people believe someone in the mob or vampire clubs was after her. In 2006, police believe she was most likely murdered. It's been almost 30 years since Susan disappeared. She would be 65 now. Was she being followed, got into drugs, killed, or was it just all in her head? We may never know. And there we have it. 5 people who disappeared in mysterious ways. They are from different places and times, but one thing is the same. They still haven't been found. Maybe one day these cases will have closure, and they will be found either dead or alive. I would also like to have full videos on some of these, such as Asha Degree and Connie Smith. Until then though, I hope this brings some light on them. Hopefully one day, the mystery will be taken out of these cases, and they will get the closure they deserve.